Come on, WWE, you have to do better than this. You have to be better than this. I understand it is John Cena's farewell match, but $500 for the last seat in the building? The last possible row. The last seat. You will need binoculars to see what is even happening inside that ring. They will look like ants, and you will need your magnifying glass. You will end up watching the entire show on the big giant screen that hangs from the roof of the arena. So you might as well just be in the comfort of your own home. But WWE knows that there are many, quote, fans that are going to pay that. They will max out their credit cards because they have loyalty to these wrestlers. Something WWE does not have for their fans. They know they can get, at least for now anyway, they can get that $500, $600 ticket sale. They know they can fill that entire last row of that arena at $500 to $600 a pop with marks. One mark after another mark after another mark. Because that's how they look at their fans. They look down at their fans. They berate and degrade their own fan base. I say it all the time on this channel. The guy running this show, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Paul Levesque McMahon, says you're not even a real fan and you can fuck off if you don't like the product today. So all the years you've spent being a fan and all the money you've poured into this conglomerate, this machine, all the money, all the loyalty, all the years, the guy running it now says now you can screw off. You're dismissed. And the company he works with and for, TKO, looks at you as nothing more than a dollar sign. Raising prices to absurd amounts. To the point where it's not about if fans are willing to pay it. You should be the responsible one and make sure that they should not have to. Vince McMahon was known as a ruthless businessman. As ruthless as they come. Would take out the competition no matter what. But he had a loyalty to the fans. He always made sure that the fans could show up to the shows, that the fans could afford the show. Because as I said in a recent upload, Vince McMahon knew the golden rule of business. Make sure they're coming back. Always make sure they come back. Because you're not charging an astronomical amount up front, but if those same consumers come back to your product, they will pay more and more and more. And I promise you, over time, that'll greatly surpass trying to liquidate for the moment. And that's all TKO is doing. They are liquidating for the moment. Maximizing the potential of the profit is what Mark Shapiro, TKO COO, said, right? COO of TKO, Mark Shapiro, said Vince McMahon was pricing for families. We're not going to do that. We're going to see the potential and maximize that potential. What he is telling you is he is going to inflate those ticket prices so that they are literally robbing you. But not behind your back. No, they're not pickpocketing your wallet. They're going to make sure that you face-to-face hand over your money gladly. It's the Lego movie. When Emmett thinks everything is awesome and he sees life through rose-colored glasses and he goes to get a cup of coffee and the clerk says that'll be $37 for a cup of coffee. And Emmett says, awesome! WWE is charging over $500 for the last seat in the arena. The highest row. You will be watching with binoculars and you'll be watching the giant screen that hangs above on that ceiling. That's how you're going to watch this show, and you're going to give them nearly $600 to do it after taxes. $600! This is no longer just, oh man, the people down in the first 10 to 20 rows, they're paying up to $10,000 a ticket. That's a real thing, by the way. There's still tickets. Second, third, fourth, fifth row that are $5,000, $6,000 plus. The front row went for over $10,000 because you get some VIP package. You're going to be able to take a photo op with a wrestler and go through a side entrance. They're going to call it a VIP entrance. Maybe a party beforehand, which is just a bunch of fans, and then maybe Tozawa will come to the party for 10 minutes. And they got over $10,000 from these people because they want to see John Cena one last time wrestle. And WWE, TKO, they're going to play off of that emotion. They're going to play off of that. And I'm sure there's going to be individuals going, BC, this is business, man. If they know they can make it, if people are going to gladly hand over the money, that's business, man. No, absolutely not. There is a right way to go about business where you can still be ruthless and you can still collect. And there is a wrong way to go about business. Pissing on the fans that have showed you loyalty throughout the decades is the wrong way. Anybody and everybody knows that. Pricing people out at Disney World is wrong. If you're going to hold Mickey Mouse accountable, then you better hold Schnoz McGee and Mark Shapiro and Nick Khan and Ari Emanuel, TKO, Silver Lake. Hold them accountable as well. Pricing people out, demographics, families, after they've given you everything over the years is wrong. And it's bad business. It's bad. Because over time, this business model has proven to fail. Because you will not keep the audience, your fans, your consumer coming back. Once the credit cards are maxed out and you come back around, that's why your arenas won't be filled anymore. There's only so many WrestleManias you can have in a year, or John Cena retirements. Eventually, your arenas will start to look less and less packed. And over the course of 2 years, you're seeing it. Remember just a year or two ago, we were hearing about record sellouts? Every Monday Night Raw, every SmackDown, what were we hearing? Another sellout! Our 13th, 16th, 24th sellout in a row! You don't hear that anymore, do you? Fans are not showing up in the same towns that they once were, even just a year ago. Why? What happened? Minneapolis, Sacramento, Austin, Miami. What happened? Buffalo, Detroit, where is the sellouts? They sold out a year ago. Forget the fact that more and more fans are not even watching anymore. That's a whole nother story. But on top of that, they feel the value, the worth isn't there. And even if they wanted to, they don't have the money to anymore. Because once you max out those credit cards, interest is added on. And interest will keep these fans in debt for decades. So now you have a business model where your product sucks so bad that you're losing fans, you're losing viewers, and on top of that, they can't even afford to go to your shows anymore, even if they wanted to. Good luck, even a year from now, 1 year from now. I told you a year ago. It was BC that told you a year ago. Watch what happens if they're going to run this type of business model. A year from now, you're not going to be hearing about record sellouts consecutively anymore. And what happened? BC was right again. You're not hearing that anymore. And even when they do announce a sellout, the town, the city, days later will release the actual reports that has the numbers, and it'll show they were thousands off. They lied about selling out. I said that a year ago. We were right. Now I'm saying again, watch what happens 1 year from now. Watch these arenas. It's going to be a direct effect of taking your audience for granted, pissing on them, not honoring and respecting their loyalty and commitment to your company. At least put on a facade. The illusion, right? The perception that you care about your own fans. At least have a perception. More than just your cold open signature to every show where you say, then, now, forever, together. $500 to $600 for the last seat in the house. So when we saw that tickets were over $10,000 for average shows, for WrestleMania, tickets with VIP packages were up to $75,000. That's a real thing. $75,000 to catch a WWE show. Could you imagine? I don't care if you're rich. You're rich and stupid if you're going to pay that. But it's no longer just thousands of dollars to the elites that sit in the first 20 to 30 rows. They're asking the people that can't afford really to even go. The seats that used to cost $20. Just so they could go in there and say, hey, they were at least a part of it. They couldn't see anything. They watched it all on the Jumbotron, but hey, it's something. They got to be a part of it. Take it in. They don't have a lot of money. They bust their ass, maybe child support. They try to hold 2 to 3 jobs. But damn it, they showed up, man. It was all worth it. They got to bring the kids, and for $60 or $80, the family got in. A couple of merchandise items, some food and drinks. Yeah, it cost Dad $180 altogether. But you know what? Well spent. The family went out. Now for one person, it's going to cost you nearly $600. The binoculars for a good pair will cost you another $400. Watching that damn screen high above will cost you a fucking stiff neck for the next 2 weeks. So that's $300 more for a good masseuse. That's not even including a hot dog and maybe a soda when you're there. Together, probably be another $50. And when are you going to get your John Cena Last Ride shirt? For another $35? $700 when it's all said and done for one person. You fork up another $300, you could go on a vacation. Take your ass to Florida and lay out in the sun at a resort. Right? It was one thing when it was just the bottom bowl of the arena, the elites that were paying thousands of dollars. That was bad enough that they would allow that to happen. But now, just the nosebleed sections. They want you to fork over $500,000 per person, bare minimum, before all taxes included. So basically, $600 a person. And Mark Shapiro, the COO of TKO, had the audacity to say Vince McMahon priced for families. Vince McMahon made sure that people could actually afford to go to these shows. So Vince McMahon, he wasn't as ruthless as everybody thought he was. He wasn't maximizing every potential dollar. No, Vince McMahon was ruthless, trust me, in how he made money, and how he faced competition, and even charging fans. But he also knew that to run a business for any length of time, you have to show loyalty. You have to have that loyalty and a certain level of respect to your fans. Of all people, can't believe I'm saying this, but Vince McMahon realized that and utilized that thought process. With TKO, Silver Lake, and trust me, Helmsley is just a spoke on that wheel. He is one of the same. They are made from the same cloth, cut from the same cloth. It's not, oh, Helmsley's just doing what he's told. Helmsley is a part of that mindset. It is pathetic. An entire family should be able to go and see John Cena's last match because they're in DC for under $200. And then you make your money on your sodas and your popcorns. WWE can make money on their merchandise. But if you are mom and dad and you bust your ass and you have a couple kids and they really want to go to the show and you even want to, and you want to go to this show, do you realize that after taxes, you will have to pay before you even get merchandise or a soda for your kids? You will be paying almost $2,500. $2,500 to watch on the very last row of that arena. Or the other option, you just can't go. Sorry, kids, I know it's in DC. And John Cena's last match is right there. You can reach out and almost touch it, but we can't. They priced the tickets to where mom and dad will have to work 2 straight months to have that type of extra income. What has happened to WWE? And I know there's going to be people out there basically, that's business, man. That's the market value, basically. No, it's not. Mark Shapiro told you it's not. The companies set market value. Beyonce can charge this for her concert, and you can say, oh, that's market value. Everyone has to do that now. And then all of a sudden, Taylor Swift can go, you know what? I don't feel right about that, and I'm Taylor Swift. No. We are not doing that. That's what actually happened, by the way. Even Taylor Swift said this is absurd. And she knows. There's no shortage of people that would pay absurd amounts of money and still do for Taylor Swift concerts. They call them Swifties. But I'll tell you right now, man, even Swift was like, whoa, I just looked at these prices. So you do something about it. You don't think WWE can start doing something about it? Tony Khan pledged. Because a lot of people have fun with it. Well, Tony Khan can't raise his prices because he's having a hard enough time with people showing up. But Tony Khan at least pledged, no matter how big or little the success of AEW is in terms of people showing up to our shows, one thing I will always have is affordable tickets. So he put out that word, now we just hold him to it. But that's what you do when you run a company. You make sure that there is that loyalty to the fan at least. Some degree of respect. DC was chosen for Cena's last match. That's awesome. And WWE is going to make a lot of money from it. And they're going to charge those first few sections astronomical prices. And people are going to pay it. And it's wrong. But at least the families will be up there, way up high in the nosebleeds, and at least they'll be able to take it in. Not anymore. The wild thing is that the company was ran better under Vince McMahon. The final years creatively were horrible, but that's because he really gave up. He knew he was selling. And he just started banging paralegals in his office. And random women. So those last several years were rough with Vince McMahon in charge. But the company as a whole was just ran better, at least. Now people can't even afford these shows. There's advertisements on top of advertisements. Vince McMahon's rule was he does not like to have anything on his ring. He doesn't like the canvas having anything. I remember WrestleMania 12, he threw a fit. Because he had the WrestleMania 12 logo on it. And he's like, why did he couldn't stand it while they were live. I always remember that story. And maybe there was a couple of other times. He couldn't stand it. Now the ring is bombarded as if it's a billboard. They add LED boards just to act as billboards. Some of the wrestlers are already carrying patches as if it's NASCAR drivers. The ladders with little Home Depot stickers and Money in the Bank briefcases, Cash App on it. Tables are Slim Jim tables. Advertisements on top of advertisements. 2 to 3 minute commercials. We used to say, oh man, there's so many of them, and why are they 3 minutes? Now there's even more, and they're up to 4 minutes in length. More commercials and more commercial time. Prices up, top to bottom. Creatively, they're more bankrupt now than ever before. I would take Doink the Clown and Duke the Dumpster Drosy and the Body Donnas. I wouldn't just take Kane. I would take Dr. Isaac Yankem. Anybody remember him? I would take them, the Godwins. Chainsaw Charlie. I would take them all over the junk that we see today. We get less and less, and they take more and more. The advice I can give anybody contemplating how can I come up with the $600 to attend John Cena's last match December 13th in DC. And you're trying to think of ways I can pick up hours, I can pick up a shift here. My advice to you, save your money, man. Save up a few hundred more and go on a nice week-long vacation, because for $1,000 you can. I don't care if it's Florida. Go to a nice resort and lay out. Enjoy some nice restaurants. Go on a vacation for $1,000. Because to spend $600 to watch a giant screen that's hanging above, because you ain't going to see anything down below. Save your money, man. Don't let this company rob you. Because that's what they're doing. They're robbing you. They're just not picking your wallet from behind. They're making you look at them and with a smile hand over your money. And sometimes that's the sleaziest of sleazeballs. When they can rob you to your face. It's disgusting. We're going to talk WrestleDream in just a little bit. AEW. WrestleDream. I have my the results, not my results. I didn't put on the show. Tony Khan put the show on. But I have his results to his show. And I have my thoughts, my amplified thoughts on said show. I want to speak on one other thing first off, and that is R-Truth, Ron Killings. He recently did an interview, and this kind of picked up some traction because of what he said. And he's letting WWE off the hook. And he's trying not to ruffle any feathers or push any buttons for Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And you say, well, BC, you could kind of understand. I mean, he got his new contract. He's there for several more years. He hopes he can always be kicked to the curb. Knowing Hunter Helmsley, there's a good chance that's going to happen. But he doesn't want to rock the boat. He doesn't want to be a disturbance or a disruptor. So BC, he's just trying to hang low and just be respectful. Yeah, you can say that. And I think that's absolute horseshit. How quickly we forget what just happened. To R-Truth. He was the good soldier for how many years? He was the comedy relief, even when the material was horrible. But we all, as he was waiting for that one moment where they finally let him break out and do more. Be more than just that comedy sideshow jobber. But instead of giving him that moment, they kicked him to the curb. And when he came back, there was a sense of, oh man, they're really going to do something special with him now. And now we get to see R-Truth. We get to see Ron Killings. Now it's going to pick up. Now it's going to be fun. And I hate saying anybody deserves anything, but yeah, Ron Killings deserves his big push. And that's not what happened. He came back, and Helmsley immediately just put him as a third wheel between CM Punk and John Cena. And then put him at catering, left him off the show for a couple of months. And then when he reappeared, he was backstage doing the same comedy that Helmsley already had decided previous, was no longer a good part of the show. The same reason he told R-Truth they're not bringing him back. He put him right back in that role. R-Truth came back, cut his hair on live TV, said Ron Killings is now here. And then he went to catering for 2 more months. And R-Truth, Ron Killings, recently spoke out and said that character basically, it went full circle. His comeback and the whole Ron Killings thing, it served its purpose. But everybody was up in arms and all pissed off because they love R-Truth. They wanted the R-Truth character back. So he feels that everything happened the way that it's supposed to. And he wouldn't change any of it. This is how it was all supposed to be, is what Ron Killings is saying in this latest interview. You talk about letting Hunter Hearst Helmsley off the hook. R-Truth, Ron Killings has to understand, we were not furious just because they let go of R-Truth and we desperately needed that comedy relief every Monday. No! We were pissed off because you never got your fair shake. You were the good soldier. You did everything they told you to do. You wore wigs. You ran around in trash cans, dog parks. You weren't just used to make the fans laugh. You were used so the talent, so the suits and ties, so Hunter Helmsley could laugh at you. You were his entertainment. But we all were hoping that eventually they will have to use you properly. We'll get to see a different side, the better side. It'll be fun. You won't just be a comedy relief jobber. But they didn't give you that. They kicked you to the curb. Or right beforehand, they made it look like they were turning the corner with you, right? They gave you the match with Cena. They gave you a big match with Cena, and I remember what Natty said. Natty did an interview after, not too long after, and she said she spoke to you right before that match, and you were like a kid, basically. You were so excited and so happy to finally get your moment, to finally get that chance and have a match like that. And Natty remembers how just full of happiness and pride you had. And then after that match, Helmsley's like, we're not... It wasn't Helmsley, by the way. He doesn't have the balls to speak to the talent that's being released or not re-signed. So another suit and tie has to inform R-Truth that they're not bringing him back. Could you imagine that? And now the whole wrestling world is flipping out because it's not that we needed the R-Truth comedy back. That's not why we were flipping out. All of us could absolutely do without it. Nobody's losing sleep if we don't have R-Truth making us giggle for 10 seconds every Monday night. It's not why we were pissed off. Pissed off because you were done dirty. You were done filthy, actually. That's why we were pissed off. And when you came back, every fan under the sun knew Helmsley cannot drop the ball here. He most likely is because he sucks at what he does. He's not creative at all. The opposite. That's why he's bringing in artificial intelligence to try to help him. When you have zero intelligence, artificial intelligence has to be better. And he brought you back the same way that he kicked you out, right? With the whole Cena thing. He brought you back and he put you in the middle of a thing already between CM Punk and John Cena. You were just a third wheel. And after you lost again, you were right back to catering and nobody knew where you were. He was off the pay-per-views. What was it? Money in the Bank, I think it was, and a couple others. He was off of them. And then he just randomly showed up on a Monday Night Raw doing comedy with John Cena again. He was Ron Cena with Brock Lesnar. Remember when he got the F5? Brock Lesnar knocked him out with an F5 and then laughed at him. Just months earlier, he was on fire in the pro wrestling world. The hottest name, man. Everybody was supporting Ron Killings. I said on this channel numerous times, there's no way you can mess that. Not even Hunter Helmsley. If he puts in bare minimal effort, you won't mess this up. You let this dude rock against the quote authority? Oh man, Ron Killings is gonna be huge. They never even tried. Helmsley was pissed from the beginning that Nick Khan told him they're bringing truth back. That's the truth. Helmsley's the one that made the final decision. It's not TKO, guys. They say, hey, we have to save this amount of money. We have to make these cuts. We have to cut talent. Yeah, TKO can say that. And they leave it up to Helmsley. Helmsley gets to decide who I need, who I want, who is more than expendable. You think Nick Khan just goes up to Helmsley and goes, sorry, man, I got to take R-Truth from you. But I have him in this story. Sorry, man. Sorry, Trips. I got to take him. I also got to take Drew McIntyre. We're booting Bobby Lashley. Sorry, man. That's what the suits and ties are telling me. I'm just the messenger on this. Sorry, Trips. Now Triple H is in on it. They tell Helmsley exactly what cuts need to be made, like financially, like what they need to save. If they have to cut talents, and Helmsley decides who is expendable, who goes, who stays. He said we can do without R-Truth in the comedy. Helmsley was just done with it, period. He knows that it all sucked, right? Carlito was trying to do comedy backstage as well. Carlito sent his walking papers around the same time. So Nick Khan had to tell him, because of all the backlash in the community, we're bringing truth back. Helmsley was probably pissed. Not probably. He was. It's clear. Because look what he did with him upon his return. And he tried to save himself, right? Well, what are you talking about? When he came back, I put him right back in there with John Cena. How was he booked, Helmsley? Come on, how was he booked? You had him flat on his back looking up at lights constantly. As a third wheel to Cena and Punk. And then he just disappears into the realm of catering and his triple layered moose cake. And then he just shows up doing his comedy again. And then he's off TV for a few more weeks. And then he just shows up on SmackDown where he's getting an F5 from Brock Lesnar. As not even R-Truth, but as Ron Cena. The long-distant brother of John Cena. Did you giggle? Guys, I'm being honest. Did you guys giggle at that? Actually, BC, I kind of did. Cool. I'm not even kidding. I'm glad you giggled. Because that's R-Truth. That's what R-Truth has been. It's what he is now. And that's all he's going to be in this company. And it's not for our entertainment, I assure you. It's so Helmsley can just laugh at him, berate him, degrade him, and belittle him. And to hear R-Truth, Ron Killings, I should say, speak like, no, I'm totally fine with the way everything went. That's how it was supposed to be. And that everybody was so upset, not because they wanted to see Ron Killings, they wanted R-Truth, the funny guy, back. This is what everybody was pissed about. They love R-Truth, the way that I was. No, bro, that's not what this was about. We knew you were done filthy. Nobody was clamoring for your comedy back. It's not even that funny, to be honest. Because the material they give you is right in the same toilet of all the other creative they give everybody else. Because it is you, we're able to giggle from time to time. That is still one of the most, in all of the horrible booking decisions and just decisions up front that Helmsley has made in the year of 2025 alone. Forget the last 3 years of the reign of terror that Hunter Hearst Helmsley has had creatively in this company. Just this year alone, that sits at, if not the top, right near the top of the worst, most tragic decisions that Helmsley has done. What he did to R-Truth Ron Killings. And the momentum and the fire that Truth had on his side. The entire wrestling world. This guy was a star overnight in Helmsley. Helmsley took that fire and he put all of the Pacific Ocean on it. He put that fire out with the quickness. And to listen to Ron Killings try to defend that. Don't, man. Truth, you need to hear the truth. Helmsley doesn't care about you at all. Don't even like you. He doesn't. I'll go out on a limb and say he disrespects you. And that's just seeing how you're treated. Shall we move on? Let's talk some All Elite Wrestling. AEW had a big event last night called WrestleDream. And I absolutely love how this event started too. I have to mention this. This is epic. It's a throwback to the Attitude Era. So you know BC is going to love this. But they had this like pre-show, the kickoff. I think they were calling it like tailgate or something. Every show these days, the pre-show is called something different. So I think it was like WrestleDream tailgate, something like that. FTR is facing Jet Speed. And it went right up to the beginning of the actual main show. And they were still wrestling. There has not been a conclusion yet. So WrestleDream goes live. Pyro, everything, music, fans are all like, oh, the show is starting. Meanwhile, the match from the pre-show is still going on. So pyro is blasting off, everybody's hooting and hollering, and you have this match going on. Like nothing. Don't mind us. We're just continuing our match. It's a throwback to the Attitude Era. Anybody around back in the Attitude Era, you remember Monday Night Raw was 2 separate shows back to back. It was a 2-hour show, but it was separate. So the optics were that you were watching 2 separate 1-hour shows. Raw is War would then go into the War Zone for the 2nd hour. And it had a completely different song. It had completely different pyro. Fans would hold up their signs as if they're watching a completely different show on a completely different week. But it was no. The second the first hour ended, everybody acted like you were watching a completely different show. So there was times where you'd be seeing a match end hour number 1 on Raw, and that match would leak into the War Zone, and the pyro would just start going off, and the music would be sounding, and fans jumping up and down with their signs, and the match is still going on. So anyway, I loved when they used to do that. When Raw is War would turn into the War Zone. Back in the Attitude Era, the Monday Night Wars. And to see that, man, it was an awesome throwback. Like, the main show's going live, and they're just having them. Don't mind us. Have your party. We're starting the show. Yeah, pyro. We're gonna try to win this match. FTR ended up defeating Jet Speed, if anybody cares, by the way, on the actual show. I had to bring that up. I know this isn't technically a match on the main show, but come on, man. That's what I mean about just having fun on your shows. You know what I mean? Like, how can we just have fun? Let's just do some fun stuff. It doesn't just have to be match after match after match. Let's add some fun into it. All right, let's get into the main card, man. This will be the results and just some quick thoughts as they come to mind. Not a lot of notes on this. I had to catch this really on the fly in parts. So I was not able to catch this on one straight 4 hours plus like a lot of you guys. So not a lot of notes. This is all going to go on just kind of remembering exactly how it all went down. The first match on the main show, I believe Jamie Hayter collecting a W over Tekla. What was cool about this is the wife of Lou Thez was front row watching on. That was really cool. I don't know the last time. I know Vince used to bring her out. She used to go to the WWF shows, but it's been a very long time, I believe. It was just pretty cool. At one point, Tekla was like kind of poking at her, almost like going for a handshake. And then when, Lou Thesz's wife goes to like shake her hand, Tekla just takes her hand away. So I was waiting for just to smack the taste out of Tekla's mouth. But Jamie Hayter ended up doing the deed. Jamie Hayter picks up the W. Amanada is celebrating with Hayter afterwards, as Sky Blue and Julia Hart were looking on from the top of the ramp. So obviously that's far from over. Obviously you're going to get more of the tag team action between the four. And a bunch more singles matches, I'm sure. But that was like the appetizer. As far as women's wrestling last night, the two big matches were still to come. Mercedes Moné, her open challenge, Toni Storm, and Stat, obviously. But for a little appetizer match to kick it off, not bad at all. What was funny is the next matchup, the Bucks came out for their match with Jurassic Express, and there was $500,000 on the line. So when they introduced the Bucks, it was like, whoa, man, what was the exact amount? Oh, I forgot. I think it was like $32.17. If I'm off, it's by maybe $32.16, $32. I think it was $32.17. And that's what they said. The $32.17, $32.07. Insufficient funds is what the Tron said. In other words, they need that $500,000. They need to beat Jurassic Express. Doomsday Devices, TK Drivers, Super Kick Parties, EVP Triggers all fail to get the job done in this near 25-minute match. You heard me correct. Over 20 minutes for sure. I think it was closer to 25. Express would eventually win this match and the $500,000. Post-match, they're offering not just their hand and some mutual respect, but they were offering some of the cash to the Bucks, so you could be worth more than $32.17. But the Callis family attacks. The Bucks don't help either. The Bucks just leave. This didn't make Kenny Omega too thrilled, so Omega comes out, tries to talk sense into the Bucks, turn around, help out Jurassic Express. What are you doing? You're just going to walk away? They're like, yeah, pretty much. Out of our way, please. And the Bucks continue on. Omega's like, all right, I'll do it myself. Helps out the Express fend off the heels. Tornado Trios match was next. Syndicate defeated the Demand. I think it was a Lashley Spear. Got the ultimate W. Physical. I'm trying to think back what I can really say about that. It was physical. Lashley was putting people through the barricade and tables were getting shattered. And MVP had to tap back into when he was in his 20s. I mean, he was in the thick of it. Was it Shelton Benjamin? I think actually he was sent through a table spot, I believe, on top of Lashley. So that was pretty badass. But yeah, not too much. I mean, you've seen this matchup in the past, but I don't know, man. Syndicate is starting to lose a little bit of that luster. They're badass, but, losing on Dynamite, was that needed just to pick up this W, which I knew was going to happen. I knew that was just to take a quick L, no harm, no foul. They're going to get the big W when it counts the most at WrestleDream. I still didn't like them losing on Dynamite on Wednesday. I didn't like that at all, and I actually mentioned that in that when we talked Dynamite on the next Amped Up show. I didn't like it at all then. I don't like it now. But their matchups, of course, they're physical. That's not the issue. Caring about what they're doing, that's what I'm trying to latch back onto. Ever since the MJF thing, man, I mean, that was so well done to bring MJF in, and I was against that from the beginning. I did not think that was going to mesh well at all, and BC will absolutely take the L on that because they ended up pulling that off damn near flawlessly. And then, not long after, they just imploded. They have their own reasons. I totally get it. But then ever since, I feel the Syndicate has not been as efficient and effective in terms of making people care and get invested than they once did. So in short, this is a match I could have easily seen on Dynamite. TNT title, Kyle Fletcher defeated Mark Briscoe. I believe it was a turnbuckle buster for the pin. What I really am going to remember from this one, man, there was a really good spot where Fletcher was about to take the L, and he got like one finger on the rope. One finger, man. He was that close. Briscoe, that close from getting that TNT title. Those were pretty cool, man. You got to really have ring presence for that. Women's World title match was next. Stat defeated Toni Storm. This, I'm pretty sure, is going to get a lot of mixed reactions going forward. A lot of people thought if you're going to have a long-term title reign, that's got to be Toni Storm. But I just don't see any way creatively you could take that title off of Statlander, because at that point you are doing her filthy. You basically said, we're going to give you the ball and we're going to see if you sink or swim. But if you take the title off her this soon in a match of this magnitude, you basically sent her into the middle of the ocean and took away the life preserver, her paddle, her little canoe. You took everything away and you said, good luck. Find your way to shore. It just didn't feel right to take it from Stat. And again, this is coming from someone who would absolutely, if we got this right from the jump, that title would have been on Toni Storm. I'm more than okay with Statlander having a championship if Mercedes Moné hasn't hogged them all up yet. But I'm just not on Team World title on Stat. I know there's a lot of you guys that have no problem with this. You think she's, quote, deserving, which in today's fan, every wrestler deserves a title. According to today's fan, every wrestler deserves a title, and then when they get it, they deserve world titles. They deserve to be in a Hall of Fame after just competing for 6 months. They're Hall of Famers. They should be in the Hall of Fame. Because that's what we do as wrestling fans. We just over-exaggerate everything. But I know a lot of people have no problem with Stat being the world champion for the ladies. I just, if you needed any more evidence of somebody who just has that personality and charisma and natural it factor, you have to look no further than just Dynamite recently, when Toni Storm and Statlander had that sit-down interview with Renee Paquette. And you just watch and listen to Toni Storm, and that's just natural it factor, personality, charisma. She is in it. And she is on her A game. And then they would have Stat speak, and you could tell Stat is just trying to, give off her bullet points. Everything she's supposed to say, just, get it out. It just didn't feel really natural. I wasn't getting charisma behind her words. I wasn't getting realism and believability behind them. So this is going to be a decision that's going to split the audience. I totally hear that. But, man, on the flip side, I don't see. Right? That's the road they chose. I don't think they could just take the title off of Stat right now. And I think what they want to do, because you saw this as the night went on, too. It's clear to me, it looks like they're going Toni Storm, Shirakawa for the tag titles. So it looks like you're going to have like a Charlie Flair, Alexa type thing, right? Toni Storm will play the role of Charlie Flair. And you're thinking, tag team, this is somebody who's won world titles. And the company is positioning at the top. Why would they be in a tag team? Different reasonings, right? WWE, they have Charlotte Flair in a tag team with Alexa because Alexa gets a really good response from the crowd. Charlie doesn't. But the company wants Charlie to get Alexa's response. They want Alexa to get the, whatever. I don't want to see her. The response that we give Charlie, they want that for Alexa because Alexa's not the chosen one. Their chosen one is Charlie. So they're pissed off. Hunter Hearst Helmsley's pissed off that Alexa Bliss gets massive pops and Charlie Flair gets crickets. So they mixed up Charlie. They linked up Charlie Flair with Alexa Bliss so that Charlie can get some of that reaction rub. Over in AEW, I mean, at least they have more of a story trajectory. Whether it's a top-notch story or not, that's in the eye of the beholder, but at least Tony Storm and Shirakawa have history, and according to Tony Khan, a future together. And I believe that's for the tag team championships. So yeah, as wild as that may seem, BC, what are you talking about? Tony Storm going for a tag title? She's going to devalue herself to tag titles? But I'm telling you, if you saw this show, man, and you know how Tony Khan books, it looks like that is the trajectory. So Stat wins the match, holds on to her title, and I like how they piggybacked from that match into the next match. They had Mercedes Moné come out and basically tell Statlander, get out of the ring. Go, shoot, go. Then Frat Party is belittling, degrading, berating Statlander all the way to the back. So I thought that was well done, especially because they're going to have another matchup with Mercedes versus Statlander. So it's a cool little way to set that up, but a unique little way to go into the next match. So I thought that was well done. The open challenge for Mercedes Moné, it was ROH Women's TV Champion, the interim champion, have to get that correct, Shirakawa, who answers this challenge. Now, I know a lot of people are not going to be happy about this opponent, right? Especially after Moné defeated Shirakawa. And via backslide roll-up, by the way, to become new ROH TV champ, interim champ, too. So people are not going to be happy about the opponent. All these possibilities, and it was just Shirakawa. Then on top of that, it was an interim champion. Then on top of that, it was a roll-up again. That's the only way Mercedes wins matches. I can't stand that. Veteran subscribers to this channel, you know, this channel was founded upon Sasha Banks, Bray Wyatt. When I started this channel, those were the only wrestlers that were really captivating me. One for the ladies, it was Sasha Banks. One for the dudes, it was Bray Wyatt. So, yeah, no matter where Sasha Banks went, no matter what her name becomes, we were going to follow along on the ride and hope the best for her. I always thought she was the best wrestler. When the bell rang, something about Sasha Banks captivated me, just like Mercedes Moné. So for BC, if she holds 100 titles, I would think, yeah, makes sense. I felt she should have had all the titles in WWE. Women's, anyway. Of course, then I think there was only one. But the point is, now there's tag titles, IC titles, speed titles, crown jewel titles. But I was saying in WWE, how does Charlotte Flair have 14, 15 championships, whatever it is, and Sasha only has a handful, and 3 of those was for 82 days because they had to play hot potato with Charlotte so that it could patent Charlotte's stats to get closer to her father's 16. So Sasha was just playing the role of hot potato champion. 3 title reigns that equaled 82 days. So really, Sasha only had a couple of actual reigns. So yeah, watching her win these matches and hold titles while it's pissing the community off, BC's like, long overdue. Of course, I wish more story was added into this so that people could be invested and care more. Where it seems like it's just about the gimmick itself. The gimmick of I'm a title collector. Kenny Omega did that in the past. Ultimo had that in the past. There's been people to do that. But along with just the gimmickry of it, you also have to be adding story into it. And I'm not just talking bare minimum, but story that's going to captivate the majority of your audience. I'll be the first to admit that's not happening with the AEW audience, so Tony Khan and Mercedes has to go back to the drawing board. Mercedes is legit in terms of, quote, favorites. That's the top of the pedestal for BC. So you know you're always getting the most honesty from this channel and from BC anyway. But especially when it's for somebody like Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, that's as honest as you're going to get. More thought has to go into the story just as much as you're putting into the gimmick. I'm holding all the titles. The best of the best, okay. Match that with the story. Or else nobody's going to care. You could have 45, 72 championships. Nobody will care. And the piggyback off of that, the way you win. If you're truly the best, and I understand you're a heel, so you're going to do heelish things, and some W's will be in a heelish way, low blows, poke to the eyes, a roll up while your foot's on the rope. I get it. But when you win all the time via just roll up, the titles don't mean anything. Like you really want people to go, damn, she is that good. The problem is her ego is out of control, and she knows she's that good, and she's belittling and berating and degrading all of her opponents in the whole locker room, and that's why you can't stand her. But subconsciously, we're taking inventory of these W's, and she's always just winning via roll-ups, right? Out of nowhere, whoa! She just squeaked by with a roll-up, and even she's shocked at the end of it. But if you win that way every single time, those titles mean nothing. If you're just squeaking by, you might as, if you're going to do the gimmick, go all out. Beat them. 1, 2, 3. Make the audience moan, bitch, complain, cry. You are beating these people decisively and then berating them afterwards, stepping over their face, on their face, to celebrate to the hard cam, mocking them while they're knocked out, passed out. Spit on them. I'm done with the roll-ups. Whatever you want to call them. Schoolboy pin, backslide roll-up, inside cradle, small package. I don't care. If you're holding somebody down, if you didn't knock them out with a finisher and you're just holding them down, no, that's not good enough. That's not a good finish. That's not a fun finish. Once in a blue moon, okay. But we're in an era of wrestling where 100 finishers a match doesn't finish anybody off. I mean, in today's pro wrestling, Undertaker can drop 5 tombstones and Tozawa will kick out. Becky Lynch can hit 10 manhandle slams Monday and Maxine will kick out. Maxine! This is what we're doing, man. Nobody loses via actual finishers anymore. But if you get rolled up, oh, you ain't getting out of that. You can wiggle and jiggle all you want, man. You're not going to get your shoulder a centimeter off the mat. Oh, no, these are pro wrestlers. And they can't get their shoulder a centimeter off the canvas. That's what I'm hung up on. The roll-up. I don't care about the whole interim thing. I don't know where they're going with this. 11 championships now for Mercedes. 11! Again, I don't mind the gimmick. I don't know if they have an out now. She's going to have to lose 11 times. Like, what did you, straight? Does she lose 11 titles in 1 month? Does she lose one every now and again? Like, where does this go? Because she has this match with Stat now. Does she win the 12th? And that's when it finally ends up, this bubble finally bursts after she beats Stat and after she wins that women's world title? Or is Stat and not winning in that Stat match, is that what shakes Mercedes' confidence? And she just can't find, Stella can't get her groove back after Stat defeated her. And she loses all these titles so fast and she's blaming Stat. I mean, that's a way they could go with it. Will anybody care? It would have to be done damn near to perfection. Otherwise, she's picking up a 12th title against Stat. It's fine for the gimmick. You better put the story with it. By the way, after this matchup, Stat came back out and confronted Mercedes. I believe even took Mercedes out as well. So she celebrated, I think with both titles too, didn't she? I'm trying to recall. I don't know. It was to ease the fans' tension because a lot of people not happy to see Mercedes win that. So Stat standing tall when it was all said and done made that a little easier for that live crowd. And I know so many watching at home. Brodito kept their tag titles, defeating Okada and Takeshita. Okada at one point dropped Takeshita inadvertently. I'll put that in air quotes because he did it with a smile, right? After he took out Takeshita, they zoomed in on Okada's face and there was just big shit-eating grin, dude. He was smiling. He cared more about that than anything else, it seemed, or at least for a moment. Bandito pins Okada when it was all said and done, so. And then, was it Bandito's son that celebrated post-match? And even complete with a Macarena. That's right. Bet you didn't have that on your pro wrestling bingo cards for 2025, right? Champions of any company doing the Macarena after their match. Brodito showing no shame, busting out the dance moves. The wedding dance moves, mind you. Next, it's the electric slide. AEW World Title match was next. Hangman Adam Page defeating Samoa Joe via 3 buckshot lariats. Post-match, Samoa Joe with the Shawn Michaels turn on Marty Jannetty. Samoa Joe hoists up the arm of Hangman in victory. And then wham, takes out Hangman with a clothesline. Now, Shawn Michaels turned on Marty Jannetty with the super kick before he sent them through the barbershop window. The greatest heel turn of all time. Shawn Michaels turning on Marty Jannetty. Yes, I said greatest of all time, even including Hulk Hogan going to the NWO and turning on Randy Savage and subsequently all of WCW. While that may have been the bigger moment, there is no heel turn that was more well done than Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty. And if you were old enough to be able to see this in real time, you know. But this was so well done, man. Samoa Joe just hoisting up that arm. Everybody is like, yeah, mutual respect, right? Because fans today, they love watching 15, 20, 25, 45, 65, 95-minute matches. They want to call them bangers. They want to call them classics. They want to see how many stars Meltzer gave it. And they want the wrestlers to shake hands, hug, and kiss after the match. That's all they want to see. So when they held each other's hands in victory and hugged each other, man, the fans were like, yeah, this is awesome. They fought, now they're hugging. Everything's hunky-dory. And Samoa Joe's like, no, this is professional wrestling. I'm putting you on your ass. Sit down. And Hangman Page takes a seat courtesy of Samoa Joe's clothesline. The Ops, as a trio, turn heel because they all started putting the boots to Hangman. In fact, Samoa Joe took the world title and clocked Hangman upside his dome piece with it. And then I believe delivered a muscle buster, I think, on the title. I wasn't able to see the replay, but when I saw it the first, I was like, was that on the title? Either way, you got a muscle buster too. Hangman completely destroyed. I think that's great. That's a great trajectory for Samoa Joe. He has to lose this match. There's no way. Him with the world title, yeah, you could do that for sure. But there's no way you take that off of Hangman yet, man, unless you have like a master plan going forward. And then the main event was an I Quit match. Darby Allin and Mox. What can I say, man? What do I remember from this matchup? Flags, fish tanks, and Sting comes to mind. BC, what are you talking about? Well, Darby's flag, which I thought has been instrumental in all this. I always say this. Sometimes most of the time, if you're doing pro wrestling correctly, a lot of the best stuff is the most simplistic in terms of storytelling or what is being used in a story. And what I mean by that is just storylines, period, right? You have an ultimate face, a disruptor taking on the authority, something like Stone Cold and Vince McMahon and his literal authority, right? That's just going to work. If you do this correctly, I mean, many months and even years of entertainment just doing something like that. The Bloodline story was so damn good. The TakeOver story with NWO, WCW, some of the best stories, actually very simplistic in creative and theme. And then what you use in a story, something as simple as, for instance, a bracelet, right? CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. And just a bracelet. But you could, for weeks and even months, utilize that one bracelet to really create that conflict and drive that wedge. Jake Roberts and his Python Damien back in the day. Just anything like that. If you just keep it simple and you put thought into it, you're going to get something really good. The flag, just a flag, an AEW flag, has been instrumental. I loved what they did on Dynamite, where Darby laid that flag at the feet of Mox. He was beaten, he was battered, he couldn't even get to his feet to even try to take a swing at Mox. But he laid the AEW flag down and said, I'm willing to put it all on the line for this. Basically, are you? And Mox dropped him with that DDT on the flag. So Dynamite, I just thought that was so well done. And the flag comes into play here, and Mox completely degrades the AEW flag from the jump, which set off Darby Allin. Later in the match, that flag is around the neck of Mox, while Mox is hanging over the top rope from it. And a fish tank. They were using a fish tank in this match, and I'm not talking like an empty fish tank, right? Or maybe backstage they were using it like storage, like it's a box. No, a full-fledged, filled with water fish tank is in the middle of the ring, and Mox is trying to drown Darby Allin several times in it. There is an old saying, right? And especially, this saying was always used in pro wrestling. They used everything but the kitchen sink. 2025, we have to change that. They used everything but the fish tank. That was not the case in this fight because they used a fish tank. That was just hilarious. And Sting showed up. How cool was that? Sting, man, with is it gray hair or like white hair? I don't know, but he has no problem showing his age now. There's no hair dye. He's got a goatee that's filled in, so that was really gnarly with the face paint. Sting's showing up with the baseball bat, and he gave Darby the baseball bat after smashing the fish tank, mind you. The fish tank gets shattered. I was waiting for that to happen. Slips the bat over to Darby so he could use it on Mox. Sting leaves the ring, takes Shirakawa. Really? Marina Shafir. That would be interesting. Shirakawa joins Mox. Takes Marina Shafir over his shoulder, and Sting leaves with Shafir. And Darby hits Mox again with that bat. And then locks in I think it was a sharpshooter. And Mox fairly quickly quits. Taps away and quits. Just like that. I like all the fun in there. You got fish tanks and Sting, and I love just the flag being in use. In fact, that would end the show, man. Darby was hoisting up that AEW flag, which was such a key component to this feud, but I feel also has more meaning than just that, right? It's just, it was a "We Are AEW" statement, right? With that flag being hoisted up. And Darby Allin being so proud to be a part of this organization. And what you just witnessed, over 4 hours of action in that flag being hoisted up. And that would end the show. But you had a lot of just fun and good in this, no question. But with how menacing Mox has been, and diabolical, and willing to do anything, and just badass to the core, I felt the finish may have been a little flat because it's Mox. Darby went through hell and back 26 times. Right, if we're thinking just Darby, we're thinking, damn, you don't kill this dude. Darby Allin is Undertaker at this point. He keeps sitting up. But in terms of Mox losing, a little too easy. BC, what are you talking about? Sting showed up. There was a bat used. Yep, that's really it. I mean, Mox, we've seen Mox. If you're being honest, we've seen Mox go through way worse with way bigger obstacles against him than just Darby Allin and a sharpshooter, a submission lock. So that's the only kind of like, Mox quit on that. But Sting showing up, man, that's the moment everybody's really going to remember, right? That's kind of like, yeah, that I guess that was supposed to be like the shock moment. You know, whoa, no matter what, everybody's going to be talking about Sting. Now, I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if that's what the community is really talking about, but when the event was all said and done, I'll tell you one thing, man. If you're going to pay $50 for this thing, at least Tony Khan's going to give you your money's worth, because it's going to be an all-night thing. You are not going to get a 2-hour show, 2.5 hours. You're not going to get 4 or 5 matchups. Did I feel this delivered like other pay-per-views? Not exactly. Do I feel you got your money's worth? Beyond, absolutely. I mean, this was a whole, like over 4 hours. A lot going on, a lot of aspects to a lot of things, man. A lot of seeds being planted for the future. I mean, a lot was put into it. But I don't feel it was necessarily on par with others, if we're comparing. Now, if you want to compare it to a WWE PLE, blew it out of the water. WWE PLEs, and they're charging you triple now. They're charging you 30, so they're going closer to that $50 price tag. And they're giving you much less. Rematches, nothing makes sense. But I'm sure there's so many in the community that will overlook that, right? Oh, WWE's, they're fine. Yeah, I mean, they're going through some bumps. Ratings are in the toilet. PLEs are garbage like the shows. But let's talk about AEW and how bad they are. That's what they want to talk, right? How bad AEW is. Oh, this pay-per-view didn't feel like it was up to par. Okay? If you're gonna compare, a lot better than WWE pay-per-views. Travis Scott is ending your WrestleMania. Sting ending WrestleDream in 2025. I will take any day of the week twice on Sunday over Travis Scott taking out Cody Rhodes. So in terms of, paying a $50 price tag and then just buckling up for the rest of the night, because you are going to be watching a full night of wrestling, Tony Khan at least tries to give you your money's worth. Some shows, pay-per-views are going to be better than others. Some things they absolutely could have done better. I feel some matches could have just been on a Dynamite, right? I say the same thing a lot for WWE. Most of the time for WWE pay-per-views, most of those matches are just SmackDown matches or Raw at best. In fact, house shows. A lot of these pay-per-view matches for WWE should be at house shows. So there was absolutely a few of those on this card. A few matches I feel just went too long, like matches I liked, like Express and Bucks. But do I feel they needed nearly 25 minutes? I don't. The ladies, some areas, some aspects of the matchups, I would have completely taken out of the arsenal. Was not needed. But if you're in for a whole night of of wrestling, of watching a top-to-bottom complete pay-per-view, AEW still is the better buy. It's not even close. That's how bad WWE is with their pay-per-views. That we're talking about this event not necessarily being up to par with AEW past pay-per-views. That's telling you how good AEW does pay-per-view. The cool thing is it looks like Tony Khan at least has some type of a plan going forward, right? Like some thought is going into this. It didn't just feel like they were booking for the moment at AEW WrestleDream. Like you could see where they're going, even if it's something you're into or don't think is going to work, or Stat and Monet, or Shirakawa and Tony Storm in a tag team, Omega linking up with the Express, and so many things. You're thinking, okay, this must be going there. Where is that going? How is that even going to work? That doesn't make sense, does it? Which is more than we can say with World Wrestling Entertainment, who we could only hope books past the moment, is looking toward, at bare minimum, the next week, but they're not. They're using all their time to try to learn AI so that AI can do the work for them, so that our storylines can be artificial intelligence. So that WWE is booking Bobby Lashley in matches. That's what WWE is spending their time on. Artificial intelligence, which is telling them that Bobby Lashley should be in a storyline with Asuka, Kairi, and Io. Bobby Lashley's not even with your company, dude. But Helmsley doesn't want to do anything creative. But I bring that up because I know that's where the community is going to go, right? Whenever these AEW pay-per-views go off the air, we always start comparing AEW pay-per-views to past pay-per-views, AEW pay-per-views to WWE Premium Lives. I've said it once, I'll probably say it a billion more times. Still, AEW is the better bang for your buck. That's what I got for you guys. Amped up. What is this, the 19th? I think it's the 19th of October of the year 2025. Another weekend special Sunday edition. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Go kick the rest of your weekend's ass until next time, and there will be that next time. BC in the unit, we're saying check you. Salud.